In this video, I'm going to show you an automation that I've built to generate backlink and site metric reports at scale. So all you need to do is enter in URLs into this sheet, and this make.com automation will call DataForSEO, which is a powerful API, and generate site metric reports for every single one of those, including rank, backlinks, broken pages, referring domains, and so on. And not only that, it's going to generate individual backlink reports for every single one of those, as you can see from here. Usually when using the DataForSEO API, you need to spend a minimum of $100 a month in order to access the backlink endpoints on their API. However, this commitment is waived if you're using make.com, which is fantastic, so that you can access their backlinks API for very cheap by just loading any amount of credit onto your account. And their pricing per request is extremely low, as you can see here. I've done one more thing to really save on cost, which is to use the batch mode on Google Sheets. Generally, if you're creating an automation like this, once you get the data from DataForSEO, then you will have many different rows within your automation. And you would often need to use an iterator to iterate through every single one of those rows and then update the Google Sheet rows one by one. However, what we're doing here is we're using the batch mode of the Google Sheets API to push all of the data to Google Sheets in one operation. And I'll explain how that's done in a few minutes. And by the way, if you want to get access to this automation blueprint and all of our others, then check out the link in the description to our community where you'll get access to them and learn how to customize them for your business. Let's just start from the start here. I have two URLs in this Google Sheet, and I'm just going to press run once on this automation and let this run through. So it's got the data from DataForSEO. It's called this endpoint, which is a BuildShip project, which I'll talk about in a second. And it's created the spreadsheet, and it's batched update the sheet very quickly. So that just happened really quickly. I'll press that again. We'll press run once. It gets the data from DataForSEO very quickly again. It creates the backlink report, and there we have a full backlink report created within seconds. So what is this doing? First off, we have a watch new rows module within Google Sheets. Anyone who's used make.com for long enough will have used this many times, likely. So you just add in this module. You can search by path to search for your spreadsheet. You enter in your sheet name. In this case, we've limited to one row at a time. You could process as many rows as you want here. After that, we're using the DataForSEO app within make.com, which makes it very easy for us to interact with DataForSEO's endpoints. So we can get the backlink summary and the individual backlinks for those websites. So the backlink summary is what you're going to see here. It's the overall site metrics for each of these domains. We've dragged the URL, which is the first column from this Google Sheet, into this field, which is the target. And then from there, we're saying to include subdomains, include indirect links, and then the backlink status is live. Everything else can be kept as default, which is fantastic. So once you have that, just go to this bubble icon, and once you've executed the scenario, go to tasks and go to the result. Then you'll very quickly see all of these rich site metrics for this particular website. Now, from there, you could forget about all of the other modules here and just create a spreadsheet and dump that data straight onto a Google Sheet without using any other modules here. For example, you could create a spreadsheet and over on the right-hand side, drag in the values. So we see the backlink summary, get tasks, go to result, and then just drag in whatever data you want to dump onto this spreadsheet. In this case, I've just gone to that Google Sheets module to update the row and went to each of these fields, which are auto-populated based on the fields that are in Google Sheets. And I just dragged in each of these field items that came from DataForSEO. So we're dragging in rank, we're dragging in backlinks here, spam score, backlinks, and all of the others, as you see here. The site metrics aspect of this is very simple. Now, to get a little bit more complicated, is to actually generate the individual backlink reports. So in this case, we're calling the get backlinks endpoint for DataForSEO, and we're entering in the target URL the same way as we did for the backlink summary. The mode is as is, so this is going to return all of the backlinks. The limit, we're going to limit up to 100 backlinks. You could provide more as well. We're going to sort by backlink rank descending, so we want the highest quality backlinks to show up highest on the list. The backlink status is live, so we want to see live backlinks, and we want to include subdomains, include indirect links. Okay, perfect. So the result of that, again, we go down to tasks, result, and keep going down. And then we see the target of Barbend as the website here. We go to items, and each of these items will relate to one specific backlink. Here's where things get a little bit more complicated. I really do not want to use an iterator to iterate through every single one of these, because this could burn through tens of thousands of operations per day. I'm using a separate service called BuildShip for this, which has a very generous free tier. And we're going to get BuildShip to transform all the data we're getting for these backlinks into a format that we can dump straight onto Google Sheets via this batch mode in one operation. I have used BuildShip before in some other videos, including our keyword research blueprints, so you can check out the link in the description for that. But for now, what you can do is just go to BuildShip, start for free. When you set up an account, you're looking to create a new flow. And here we are effectively creating a new API endpoint that we can call directly from make.com. Within this DataForSEO, we have get backlinks. We're just passing all of the items from the DataForSEO backlinks into this JSON. And that's in a format that we can then send to BuildShip. In BuildShip, we're going to create this new workflow, and we can access that workflow using a URL. We've defined the method as post, and then we're passing in the JSON string from here as the request content. I've created a new workflow within BuildShip for this. To start off, we need to start off by creating a trigger, similar to how you would create a trigger within make.com. When you're doing this at the start, you'll see a blank workflow like this, unless you're importing the blueprint from our community, and you will go to add a connection at the top and select REST API call. From there, the method will be post, and just press the connect button from there. So you want to connect that. You want to basically go to trigger data and just select body. That's the body object that you want for that. Effectively, everything else is as it needs to be. Then from there, you see send a request. So this send a request field is what you're going to copy directly in to make.com. That's the URL that we need to call. Then you press ship at the top right, and then that makes this endpoint callable from make.com. Generally, when using BuildShip, I've just been using the AI feature at the top here to create new nodes for me. So just type in, given I have this, I want to do this, and I want to return this. So I use that to kind of create the skeleton of this node. And what we have here is an input. So we want to pass in the body, which is the DataForSEO backlinks, into this node. And then we want this to process the data into a format that we can then send back to Excel in this batch generate mode. Now, this is where things get a bit more complicated. I did get AI to generate this code, and there was some back and forth when doing so. I'm not very good at writing JavaScript code, but I do have a background in development, which helped me with a bit of back and forth here. But the main thing that's required is that we need the output value to be in this format. If you're prompting ChatGPT to generate code like this, just make sure to get it to output it in this specific format. Make sure the input is a JSON string. And then from make.com, you can go to the previous data that you got from DataForSEO directly and go to download output bundles. And from here, you can copy out the actual data itself. And you can copy this data directly into ChatGPT, and then it will have context of what it's looking at. And once you do that, you can get AI to generate whatever code for reports that you want. Now, there is back and forth. It might not always work the first time. But in my opinion, if you're willing to go to this level of complexity, it just makes it so much easier to churn out lots of different types of SEO reports than if you were to manually map every single one of them through make.com. And of course, it's far more operation efficient. So I'll just go through the script a bit slower. You can pause the video if you want to from here, but effectively what we're doing is we're taking the JSON string, we're iterating through every single one of those items, which is an individual backlink, and then we're formatting those in the correct format in an object, and then combining all of those together, and then outputting that in one go. Once we get the response from BuildShip, you see the data response here. It's in this long string, so we get this values. So this is kind of difficult to read, but this is the format that Google Sheets wants in this batch mode. After that, we use this create a sheets module, because for each of these backlinks, we want to create one individual spreadsheet. For this, the sheet is going to be called backlinks, followed by the URL itself, as you see here, followed by the date time, and you can format that date if you want. The first sheet at the bottom is called backlinks, and that's what we have provided just here. The next module is completely optional. We're moving a file to a specific folder within Google Drive just to keep things organized. So I'm going to open that up. We're selecting the file. We're just mapping the file ID, which is the spreadsheet ID for that. And then I'm just selecting the folder location that I want that to be moved to on Google Drive. After this is where the batch update happens. So at this point, we already have the backlink report spreadsheet created, but we would have a blank sheet. The URL is going to be spreadsheets/spreadsheet ID. So you need to drag that in /values and then AZ append in this exact format as you see there. The method is post, the content type of application JSON, and then the parameter value input option. The value for that is user underscore entered, as you see there. And then the body for that is simply the response data that we're getting from the BuildShip response. So just drag that in as you see. Once we have this Google Sheet created, we effectively have this spreadsheet created in isolation. After that, we're then going to go back and update this individual row within our main backlink metrics and keyword reports spreadsheet. So we have this update a row module. search by path, and then select your spreadsheet. Select the sheet name, and then select the row number from the very first module. After that, select table contains headers, and it's going to automatically populate each of the column headers like you see there. And the summary data will be this and this. So anything in light green here is going to be from this initial backlinks summary report. That's going to be anything here. So anywhere where we have values within this sheet is going to be from that main initial call to DataForSEO. Within this get backlinks summary module, go down to tasks, go to result, and then you'll be able to drag in whatever you want. So we're dragging in the rank, the number of backlinks. We can skip the backlink report for the moment and drag in spam score, broken backlinks, whatever other fields that you want to add to your report. The backlink report is simply what we generated here, and that's what we generated and batch updated all the individual backlinks. For this, I've dragged in the web view link for the document, and that's going to render this link as you see there. And that's the automation done. And this will work for any amount of URLs that you have within this spreadsheet. And while this is awkward to set up, it's extremely cost effective. And you can get AI to adapt the transformation here to practically any other report within DataForSEO. Make sure to check out the link in the description to our community, where you'll get access to all of our automation templates, including this one, and you'll be able to learn how to customize them to your business. We have all of these courses which you can access right away, and you can get support and chat with others through our active discussion boards and our live workshops. Thanks for watching.